get a wild urge to masquerade as Dawn from H&R Block, I guess the option's available. Gentrified Portland. None of this was here when I used to hang out. They expanded on this jet. There's the Hollywood Theater. Interestingly enough, the bus has never missed the turn, but today it missed the turn and I planned on coming by here anyway. I'm probably going to swoop around the backside and highlight the haunted dressing rooms. You might enjoy this too. So many years ago, I was in trouble with the law and I was performing community service here at the Hollywood. And a number of times, not too many, I'd say maybe 3 or 4, I got to hang out and traipse around the haunted dressing rooms, usually for letters for the marquee. It's hidden back there, mind you. Or there's 1 or 2 times people were too high and they mislocated a film reel. Film reel. Yeah. It's pretty lackluster, but kind of neat still. It's really cool if you can get in there, but yeah. This joint is pretty darn neat. Some of the people who moderate these things catered to social engineering, unfortunately. Years ago, there used to be kung fu theater, but now we have divisive, marginalizing things like queer horror. It's relevant. As this reads, opened in 1926, Portland's historic Hollywood Theater is a Spanish colonial revival landmark on Sandy Boulevard, serving as a nonprofit, single-screen focused venue. Designed by Benice and Herzog, it originally featured silent films and vaudeville. It is a National Register of Historic Places site renowned for its restoration, 70mm screenings, and for naming the surrounding district. It also shows 16mm, 35mm, etc., but as far as I'm aware, it's the only one that's knocking out 70mm, which is pretty gosh darn cool. I do love this place. It's also affiliated with Movie Madness, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, and by all accounts, Movie Madness is moving to this district. Supposedly, they're talking about turning it into, well, you guys could look that up. All things having to do with cinema is what they're essentially doing, in theory. Consider this an episode of Tangent Cam. So, the year was 2020, and this lasted approximately until 2023. These are both very neat establishments. Hollywood Theater, Movie Madness, if I could make it do the things. They both promoted segregation between that time frame, and that's not okay in any form or way. So it's also relevant. Anytime I see this, it never fails to remind me of tarot. It's pretty neat. It's pretty goddamn neat. I need to look up the history, and if I do, I'll read you what's what. As it reads, the black and white logo branded on the top of public trash cans in Portland, Oregon is the official seal of the city of Portland. The cans are part of a citywide public trash program managed by the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability, often featuring colorful community-designed art on their sides, with the black and white seal placed at the top. What is the logo? The logo is the City of Portland seal. It is circular and features a female figure in the center representing commerce. Surrounding her are symbols reflecting the city's origins: a sheaf of grain, a cogwheel, a sledgehammer. Who designed the logo? Original designer. The city seal was originally adopted on June 5th, 1878, based on a design submitted by C.A. Bujurkman, if I pronounced it correctly. Revisions. The seal was standardized in 1964 and most recently revised on August 3rd of 2005 to update it for digital reproduction while maintaining the original 1878 elements. History of the logo and trash cans. The seal's history. The seal has been the official insignia of the city since 1878, designed to represent Portland's roots in agriculture and industry and trade. That pretty much sums it up. The seal is not to be confused with the flag of Portland, which was designed by Douglas Lynch in 1970 and updated in 2002. Anybody interested in a face-down bear? Good times, Portland. We're going to Gordon's! I love this place. This used to be Gordon's Fireplace Shop. Originally, at least as far as I'm aware, it manufactured aircraft parts for World War I. And eventually became, I think, phonograph. Yeah, that's what it is. One second, this is choppy. Super choppy. So it manufactured aircraft parts roughly around, I think, 1919. And then I think around 1922, 1923, I think that's when they converted it into a phonograph shop. And if you look closely, see if we can do it. You can still see the old signage that says phonograph. I think it's Stradivarius phonograph. You still see the Strata up top. Really, really neat. Not so many years ago, I mean, it was only a decade plus, this place was in good shape. The front window, which I'll show you in a second, it used to look like a dream. The display was very dreamy, you might say. I love Gordon's. I think the building recently sold too, so something new should be here eventually. The front of the shop's down here on the corner, and obviously people have had their day with this and then some. Oh, now it's boarded up. It used to be big glass windows and looked like a fishbowl. The lighting in here was really, really neat. But all things change, not always for the better. What do you do? I'm gonna circle back around. Let's see. Probably at the D board. Hills. Obviously, it's been a squat for quite a while. Where am I at? Trying to show you a guy. There we go. Juggling a coffee, a skateboard, and a phone. The queso. And it's kind of neat that it overlooks the Max line. But because of that, I mean, obviously you get transients that, you know, hang out. That's Gordon's. God, this place is neat. The universe will sing to you. So I'm currently searching for a location that's near to something that I'm pretty sure I put in a book. I think I've got it figured out for the most part. But I just skated up on a location which is eerily familiar. I've looked for this and I found it a couple different times, but I never took note of where it's at and what it is. This used to be a really, really cool shop. Probably 2010, yeah, 2010, 2011, approximately. Moments after realizing this is what this is, I took a step to the right. I don't know, I think it's kind of neat. I hope you guys are enjoying your day, and if you put up with any of this bullshit, that's awesome. By the way, that's the English word bad. B-A-D. I'm telling you, it's like a fantasy book, you know, it's so inviting. If any of you have read Aslan Finch, I mean, this is the Deacon building across the street. The universe is perfect. Yuppies. Some gentrified yuppies. You got some elderly ones trucking around behind there, and you got a bunch of yuppies blocking what I'm trying to show you. It's not all about me. So you used to be able to truck up through there, but now there's a barricade where you can't see the steps, you can't access the door, they don't use it anymore. Because Portland did go to hell in a number of ways. It's not as bad as people are making it out, but it's definitely more lowbrow than most people realize. Even the kids who, you know, bought into all the propaganda campaigns being circulated on TikTok. The Deacon building's one of the older ones. It's really neat that it's still standing. There's a lot of cherub angels, for lack of better words, and there's some cool ones hidden in there. But who knows, maybe at a later date they'll tear this shit down. Not the building, but the barricade. If you're hanging out still. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, by the way, what brings me to the Deacon is supposedly not far from here. We should be able to find something really neat. Hey, there's a pup. Alright, I finally found it. And it was further than I thought. There's a gay rainbow across the street. Woo! So check this out. These benchmarks mark moments when Portland flooded. Technically the one on the top is worse than, it's not on here, mind you, what took place in 1996, if memory serves me. But this is pretty goddamn cool. And terrifying when you think about it. I mean, these are my legs, my knees, just for scale. I mean, you got a skateboard, but it's spooky stuff. I mean, I'm mostly average. This is about a little higher than my shoulders. Some of you know what I was up to with amusement parks and a number of other things having to do with the floods, but some of you might not. Here's some images of a sweet older gal I found standing in the same location many years ago. So something that I've taught people in the past has to do with casting 1 is to cast 9. The ancients taught us about casting 9, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look up the other videos that I've left online on numerous profiles. It's hard to see here because of how I framed it in terms of the font. I want you to focus on the 4 numbers of each year of the flood. It's a heck of a lot easier there. And the common denominator is, if you cast the 1 and if you cast the 9, we're dealing with 8s and 4s. Would you agree? Or 1, 8, 9, 4. It's just an iteration of the other. It's interesting to me. It's questionable. Who knows? Maybe there's something to it. I mean, everything is based on a rhythm, a wave, a cyclical behavior, for the lack of better words. And feel free to assume I'm wrong. The Portland flood of 1894, the city's highest recorded, crested at 33.5 feet, which always throws me off, which equals 402 inches above the gauge zero, covering 250 blocks, which is daunting, and inundating downtown with up to 5 feet of water in spots, according to Oregon Encyclopedia and OBP. The event reached its peak on June 7th, 1894, driven by extreme spring snow melt. And that's what most records point to. And it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. Portland's essentially, what should I say, downtown is sitting on a sinkhole. That's one way to put it in terms of painting a muddy picture, if you catch my drift. And you can see the other details here: maximum height, downtown inundation, river source, etc., etc. So here's the other bit, specifically towards the bottom. Plaques marking 1894, once again, 33.5 feet, and 1948 flood can be found along, and that's what I showcased. And I'm not the first, mind you. Quite a few people who have figured this much out throughout the years. Other floods. The 1996 flood was another major event, approximately 28 feet is what this claims, but lower than 1894. Well, according to this, we figured out who this woman is. From Portland photo archives of Rod Eckerman, 1970 to 1990, it says Rod Eckerman's mom. next to the high water marks on Southwest 2nd and Ash, the flood of 1894 and the Vanport flood of 1948. And this guy down here, Peggy Barrington, says the Vanport flooded clear to Southwest 2nd and Ash. Wow. Because that's what it says up here. You have to admit, this is amazing. As it reads, this image from 1894 shows Portland's 3rd Street between Washington and Burnside. It says this image from 1894 shows a man using a raised bridge at Portland's 3rd Street. What's this say? Goods will be shown on the 2nd floor during the flood. This advertisement from the Oregonian on June 7th, 1894, informed shoppers that businesses remained open during Portland's flood. This image from 1894 shows people using boats to travel on Portland's 6th and Stark streets. And I'm pretty sure, isn't Stark, I think they renamed it Harvey Milk. I think it's the same one. In case you're from here, you moved here at some point, you're vaguely familiar with Portland, Oregon. And I might be wrong, always double check whatever you're spoon-fed. This image from June 1894 shows a crowd of people gathered on a raised platform above the floodwaters at the Meyer and Frank department store. This jazz is so neat. And it looks like this was posted May 30th, 2024. And the headlines, 130 years ago, the Great Flood of 1894 left Portland waterlogged for weeks. In case you live here or you travel here, across the street, 2nd. I'm going to spin facing north. This is what? Pine or Ash? It's Pine. That's what it is. So 2nd and Pine, if you're looking for this jazz. I probably should do things like this to help you orient yourself. Ooh. And I'm not too far from Voodoo Donuts and all that other bullshit. For perspective's sake, let's see if a car kills me. Not today, Portland! Honorable mention. I know. I should curb my my numerous disclaimers, stuff that I rattle off. Bear with me a moment. What I was going to rattle off is you got the homeless and you got people who are, rattle off, illegal, I said illegal, legal. There's no such thing. In either case, it's phony jurisdictions in place to subjugate the masses, and that's my finger apparently. Don't repeat things like that. It's misleading. The reason I mention that is there used to be a homeless camp in here, but it was cleared out for a number of reasons. One of which is, what's the common denominator between those two people, by and large? I mean, they're not paying unconstitutional taxes, which is why both are in the crosshairs. And it's important to appreciate these things because you and I have been we're being manipulated. Most people don't realize this, and damn near everybody, including myself, contributes to it in a number of ways. But nobody wants to do the right fucking thing because they're too busy marching in lockstep with their horse blinders on. These are jazz hands. This is, part of Chinatown. If you hung out, thanks for hanging out. What the fuck do I know? Being the classic guy I am, I'm in a Trader Joe's bathroom. What gets my goat is these... it has tall ceilings. But how the fuck and who the hell... how was this accomplished? I mean, I'm 5'9", but even if I stood on this, that's something else. Of course, I found my way to a bookstore, but here's the dumbest fucking thing I've seen all day. The Quantum Bigfoot. As a reminder, simulation theory, the multiverse of adult fairy tales, all things holographic nonsense, atomism, and quantum theory are in place to pave the way for a one-world religion. This is leaps and bounds a pile of horse shit, 8 pounds in a 2-pound bag. Assume I'm wrong. Here's a couple highlights. I enjoyed this dude. It's kind of cool. Kind of strange. What I show you next is relevant to this bullshit. As it reads, The mini bikes on a pole in Portland, Oregon are part of the People's Bike Library of Portland, also known as Zoo Bomb, Pyle, pile. A 2009 public art sculpture made of steel and gold leaf. Located downtown, it honors Zoo Bomb, a weekly urban cycling event where riders quote-unquote bomb steep hills on small bikes, which are often locked to the pile for storage. Which brings us to, the big ooh, which is kind of neat in my humble opinion. I mean, if you grew up with Black Flag or anything else along those lines, it's been covered by one too many bands, to say the very least. The reason I mentioned Black Flag is, you got multiple singers, and multiple singers have sung this song. That's why it's relevant. So I'm sitting across the street from the Annex, and this is one of the McMinimans establishments. It's a neat, this, that, and the other thing. Of course, there's, a gaggle of fucking yuppies everywhere you go. Across the street, you'll see the Zoo Bomb Jazz, which is what I was highlighting a moment ago. But that's not the focus. And technically, this is Burnside right here. I think that's where Harvey Milk, which used to be Stark, it's a triangular intersection, for lack of better words. Things like this are divisive. There's no need to rename streets. It's questionable when you start rewriting history. Stark isn't very descriptive, so I don't have as much of an issue with this one. Plus, I like a lot of things that Harvey Milk actually did do. Despite the fact that Alphabet Community, funded at its core by the Rockefeller Trust. If you're not familiar with the Tavistock Institute, it's intimately connected with eugenics, both of which are firmly rooted in fascist ideology. Look into it. Just the same, this took place here, as it reads. The Portland City Council voted in June 2018 to rename a 13-block stretch of Southwest Stark Street between Southwest 11th Avenue and NATO Parkway to Southwest Harvey Milk Street. That's the gist of it. And yeah, what do I know? Consider this an episode of Tangent Cam. And across the street, you'll see a black building here. This black building is what we're focused on. Why? Because the Kingsmen recorded Louie Louie on the second story. And it's sitting here, and for the most part, it's, largely forgotten due to the fact that there's a superficial van store across the way. There's McMinimans, this, that, and the other thing. Zoo Bomb did this, that, and fill in the blank. And there's a porn shop, Spartacus, not far from here. I think it's only a block down the way, along with the Buffalo Exchange. Just the same, this is kind of neat. I think it's neat. Maybe you do too. There we go, for perspective's sake. This is Burnside. Obviously. That's the building in question. And who knows if all of this is in frame as I intend it to be. And by all rights, this is what it should be. The Aesop Jazz second story. My human suit. And I'm not quite sure where exactly in this chain of events, but it is pretty neat. It's also telling of just how superficial things have, become. If you notice what, all this crap became. And there are people who have highlighted this online, but for the most part, I don't think a lot of people in Portland give two shits and or know about it. Which is why I was recording this video, and I think it's really, really, really cool. But yeah, if you're hanging out, thanks again for hanging out. Van store, whatever I was sitting in front of, the gal that came out, she was really cool. I apologize for, ranting, next to her business. She said it was all right. And there's some animals over here. Oh, it looks like graffiti, but it's part of the ad. So clever. No, this is just, it's just cool. My mom recently sent me 2 old Paul Revere and the Raiders records. So as this states, yes, the Kingsmen and Paul Revere and the Raiders recorded their respective versions of Louie Louie about a week apart in April 1963 at the same studio, Northwestern Inc. recording in Portland, Oregon. The studio is located in Northwest Portland, not directly off Burnside, but in the immediate area, as showcased in a number of videos online, including what I just knocked out. On the fence, who knows what I'm doing here, but for the most part, I was going to show you, a different perspective via, skateboard. Ooh. And try not to, wreck and die in the process. Woo! For all intents and purposes, let's do this too. I just backtracked slightly, but why not? I closed this off a bit ago. And it's mostly, gentrified yuppie bullshit with a mix of this, that, and the other thing. I mean, I know I say it, I overuse it often. It's because, it's gentrified Portland. Things have gone to hell. Supposedly I can cross this. We'll see if I die. Or if I get stuck. I guess we're not dead. For a while, this was kind of neat down this way. But I mean, gentrified Portland, but that's kind of cute too. I don't know, I got a soft spot for these goddamn kids. But yeah, Portland in a nutshell, Let's see if we hit the tracks, maybe. No, I guess not today. I think I'm gonna cut back and then head towards the river. This one always sticks. See what I mean? I'm gonna head down and we'll see if we can find some of the other watermarks. Behold, Portland. Filmed by somebody else. Pink things falling from trees. Ooh, ah, an aerial view. Should I keep narrating? I thought you guys might enjoy another perspective. And there's the goddamn big pink. First time bothering with this. I'm combing the river for plaques. This little guy's kind of neat though. Which is why I stopped. Blah, blah, blah. And some really bad tags. This guy's kind of neat. In my humble opinion. So once again, I still haven't found what we're looking for. I figured why not? I mean, it's a gentle slope for the most part. And either way, it's, corrected on the other side with some balance. That's kind of neat. To say the least. But I still don't see any plaques, and that's frustrating. There's another one showcased online recently, but I can't remember where. And that's part of what I'm spinning my wheels about. Just the same. For the most part, I've skated this portion of the bridge, or I should say the, the river. Not all of it, of course. Further down is Oaks Park and all that stuff, which I may showcase, and or maybe I already have. Who knows? Unfortunately, you and I are surrounded by exceptionally dim lights. I mean, the music or the noise. People have been tagging the plaques, which is fucking stupid. Who does this? It's just as good as tagging a residential, a home, for lack of better words. In case you're curious, I mean, you could take a screenshot, you could look this up, but people are slapping fucking, Best Buy stickers on here and other not, well, too many thoughts. And people don't understand what any of this shit means anyhow, which is why they're supporting it. But this here, you can't make any of this out anymore. Obviously, it was put here for a reason. You and I are surrounded by, propaganda, for the lack of better words. But imagine if this did hold water and it did reflect something you were supposed to know, and brain-dead children of the Ethernets, thought it was a good idea to, say, don't do the right drug. It's really relevant, right? It's relevant, right? I hear some ducks, but I don't see them. Maybe you do. I'm nearsighted. Oh, there it is. It's mating season. Portland is warm. It's already unusually warm. And that's scary because you and I have been had. We're being manipulated. Assume I'm wrong. Geoengineering is alive and well. These ducks are trying to fuck. Or geese. I think they're geese. Look up harp. But in particular, look up where harp is said to have been centrally located. It's a bad way to put it, but the hub. It used to be familiar to people. It used to be public knowledge, and now most people don't understand, and they certainly don't appreciate what we were told early on having to do with this. Such is the nature of lesser magic, for the lack of better words. But then again, these are all 404, 404 errors through and fucking through. And these ducks are still trying to fuck, but it's not going so well. And it looks like it's a duck threesome, or a geese threesome. If you hung out, thanks for hanging out. I mean that. Looks like, can we see it? Yeah, you can see it. Doppler shift, red and blue. There's a reason why our masters use this jazz. It's because it's a binary, so understand that. This fountain's kind of cool with the little, show work that it puts in. Arch erected 1986. That might just be the same year, if memory serves me, when Chinatown was moved, but maybe I'm wrong. Can't remember. Good old tangent cam. As it reads, Portland's Chinatown was not moved in 1986, but it was formally marked and revitalized that year. The iconic Chinatown Gateway was built and dedicated in November 1986 at Northwest 4th Avenue in West Burnside, serving as a monument to Oregon's Chinese heritage. The area was designated a historic district in 1989. You guys could keep reading and or look this jazz up. It's good to know, and I had that absolutely ass backwards and upside down. Number, just the same. There's a number of plaques over here. This one's, what is it, Smith and Watson building. And they're pretty fucked up. They're pretty eroded. They could have been, preserved, but yeah. Old days, I remember popping around here. It's wild. In my lifetime, I didn't expect it to look as pitiful as it does. What's this one? Deacom and Reed block. Deacom's relevant, mind you. Oops, if I get it in frame. We'll shuffle over here. There's another one. What's this one say? Lad, LA with 2 Ds. Block. I'm down by the riverfront again. Saturday market's usually across the street, etc., etc. It's been a hot minute. And they've been doing this a lot too. It reminds me of the Wandering Stars. There's a park further north where people are told, not to tread. And I love going over there. A while back I recorded some videos for folks. Because you might get stabbed, you might get jumped, etc., etc. This plaque's probably the best of all because it's missing, which ties into what I was complaining about earlier. The Max, the Shame Train. Oh yeah, in full, mind you. There's another plaque I haven't run through yet. I can't read it, but part of it does say Lad. It's just unfortunate people fucked all these up. It's very similar to what I've been complaining about long-term online with what people repeat. People are actively corrupting what reflects reality, what reflects history, the two of which are intermingled. I mean, intimately intermingled. It's a big deal. So you also know I wrote about the Skidmore family, who has had ties involving, you know, none other than black tar heroin. And this is pretty darn ornate. Here, let me step all the way back. It's pretty amazing, to be honest. But people of power, you shouldn't trust them as far as you could throw them. We'll come back this way and then, I don't know. Maybe I'll shake it up in a different way. This is also heading toward, somebody the other day was telling me about, he was trying to tell me about Shanghai tunnels and all that jazz. I don't know, I guess he thought I was wet behind the ears. Either way. Yeah, this is actually where I used to buy the, what is it? Nag Champa, right here. So I was wrong. I'm glad I wandered over here because I was absolutely wrong. I was misleading you. I don't know what they used to do over there. I don't remember that then. But yeah, some of these used to be shops. Maybe they still are. Who knows? Like I said, come Saturday market, Portland fell apart by design, not coincidence. And a lot of people, they either don't realize it or they refuse to acknowledge as much, you know, enough to do the right thing. Salvation Army, Harbor, you know, Light. I love this town. Don't get me wrong. I really love Portland. Through and through. It's just full of gentrified fucking yuppies and a bunch of other dumb shit. And that's why things are bad. Same applies to the DARPA internet. I mean, you and I are surrounded by absolutely superficial people, which is why things are going to hell in a handbasket. I mean, that looks like the shop I used to buy stuff from. What's it say? Maybe it is. I don't remember the name though. And that's on me. Being that I'm bashing gentrified yuppies, I probably should have, you know, committed that to memory. Once again, if you hung out, thanks for hanging out. As it reads, the Chinatown Gate erected in 1986 is at Northwest 4th Avenue and West Burnside. And the 1894 flood wrecked the original Chinatown, causing it to migrate north of Burnside to its current location. And then you got a reference down here. Notes, PDX socialhistory.org. This has to do with Old Chinatown, 1863 to 1900. More than 5,000 Chinese lived and worked within the bustling waterfront or just threw in Chinese for whatever reason. Apologies. Neighborhood, Southwest 2nd and Adler, was considered the heart of Chinatown. There were Chinese businesses. Let's just say Joss? Looks like Joss Houses. That's new to me. I probably should look that up. Can't know everything, but I feel like I should have known this one. As it reads, a Joss house is a Chinese temple or shrine typically found in North America and other areas with historic Chinese immigrant communities used for religious worship and community gatherings. Derived from the Portuguese word for God, Deus, Joss refers to the idols or deities worshipped inside, often following Taoist traditions. It's cool knowing that. Knowing's half the battle. Theaters, restaurants, retail, tongs, family associations, eventually due to fires, floods, economic and political changes, the Chinese community relocated to north of West Burnside, which is relevant to all the other jazz. And this is pretty darn neat, to be honest. I mean, it's intuitive in a number of ways, which is pretty beautiful. And how many people take the time to read it is the question. I mean, this is my first, mind you. Again, if you're hanging out, thanks for hanging out. Across the street, you'll see what I see. Similar to the Deacon building, mind you. If I'm not mistaken, older buildings. And I think I'm on the same street. That might just be the same. No, it's not, because I don't see the rainbow. I'm probably wrong. But there are a number of these that are eerily in terms of the masonry. They're close, not all are dead on, but you never know. Maybe they were built around the same time, maybe they were commissioned by the same people. Who knows? That's speculation. Bear in mind, dogs of the trilateral city-states haven't been legally obligated to serve the public for decades. And I do mean decades.
Also, bear in mind, I got a little bit of stout on my neck. Did some squirrely shit. Didn't wreck, but I dodged some people who were also being equally squirrely. Downtown's weird. Yeah. So as it reads, police headquarters erected in, it says AD 1912, AG, Rushlight, Mayor, and you got the associated names if you want to run with it. It's kind of wily. It's the Oak and Oak. What is this, second probably? I'm nearsighted. Yeah, this is second here, and that's Oak there, if you're looking for it. Not too many years ago, what got my goat is, I mean, I'm happy this is still here, mind you. Portland Outdoor. Cameron's bookstore tanked, and it's boarded up like Gordon's. Across the street, this has been like this for a very long time, mind you. And I love it. I mean, for what it's worth. It's neat this held out through all the bullshit. It's pretty darn neat. I mean, it still looks just as fucked as it used to. And how can you not love that if you're, you know, a cuss like me? But Cameron's tanked, and I don't think I recorded it. I skated by it the other day, and I was going to, but I just didn't do it. It made me sad. I miss Cameron's. There's Cameron's. And it's fucked up that they had to close. Hey, sweet pup. Behold, the cesspool that is Portland, Oregon. Aww.
Renaming things is divisive. There's no need to rename things because 39th is descriptive. Stark wasn't as descriptive in terms of Stark becoming, what was it, Harvey Milk. And I like some of the things Harvey Milk did, mind you, if you have your assumptions about me. Even though all that stuff's been hijacked and weaponized. Back to point. So what I'm skating down, most likely, I'm probably going to show you this first, is technically 39th. But now we call it Cesar Chavez. Best part is there's still apartments and other things like that, or they're the 39th apartments. I forget the actual name. But things like this fuck up businesses as well. It's not something that's necessary in any form or way. And I have seen people on the Neighborhood app talking about what a dirtbag Cesar Chavez allegedly is or was. Was. I haven't looked into that yet. But just the same, we don't need to do things like this. 39th made more sense if you're trying to travel around a town you've never been in and or see new places in the town you live in. Hopefully I said that right.
This is an odd duck. If you look across the street, see that giant golden statue? It's probably not what you think. If you live here, you probably know, but a lot of people don't know. I've been having conversations with folks about it. I'll cut over there and get a little closer. This is a fucking death trap, though. That's an understatement. We're going. We're doing things. Here we go. I mean, things hidden in plain sight, right? And if you don't know what this is, can you know, take some guesses? It's pretty elaborate, to say the very least. I'll read you the description. Took a screenshot of something for you. There we go. Of all the things, Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc, Maid of Orleans, 1412 to 1431. It's pretty neat. I know I overuse that word. And the article that I'm going to read you, I mean, says something to the effect. I mean, this isn't what you would imagine, you know, would symbolize Portland necessarily. And yet here it is. I mean, this isn't complete, right, unless I show you the rear. This is facing north, no, east. This is east. This is west. This is south. That's north. For what it's worth. All right, I'm gonna have myself a little hobo picnic for a minute. And if you're hanging out still, thanks for hanging out.
Towards the top of the screen, it's something I mention to people in passing often, and most people tell me they've never considered it. Crows chase the light. The crows are heading west because the sun's setting. Viewer beware, this article is pretty gosh darn hip. As it reads, why does Portland have a Joan of Arc statue? Why a French saint and not, say, a beaver with a salmon in its mouth riding a bear? This was knocked out November 4th, 2022. Dr. No is on vacation this week as he wheels away his court-mandated holiday picking up trash along sunny Highway 26. Please enjoy this column from the archive. Tell me, oh wise one, what does a flambéed French saint, flambéed, burnt alive, you with me? French saint have to do with the Rose City? I ask because recently in Laurelhurst, I came upon the improbable statue of one Joan of Arc. The Jeanne d'Arc that so dominates the traffic circle at Northeast Cesar Chavez Boulevard. Bear in mind that used to be 39th. And Gleason Street is the full-size reproduction of a statue that still stands at the Place des Pyramides in Paris. It was given to the city in 1924 by Dr. Henry Waldo Coué, who'd seen the original in France and thought it was cool, super cool. Still, why a French saint and not, say, a beaver with a salmon in its mouth riding a bear? Well, I know you'll find this hard to believe, but throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, France was basically America's girlfriend. For years, the two love-struck nations exchanged gooey mash notes in the form of stationery, including the Statue of Liberty. And there's a teeny little Statue of Liberty if you go to Paris, France. Pretty sure it was in Paris. Either way, back to point. Cool. As smitten as anyone, decided that a reproduction of Emmanuel something Joan of Arc would be a good way to slip our old lady the tongue while also commemorating the Americans who perished on French soil in World War I. Incidentally, we're not the only U.S. city with a copy of this particular Joan. Philadelphia has one too. They call theirs Joni on the Pony, which I think we should straight up steal. Eventually, we decided that while losing one war to Germany was tragic, losing two was simply careless, and France, for her part, decided we were just dicks, which we are. Thus, our nation's affair came to an end, At least we'll always have the world's largest hood ornament to remember it by. What I'm highlighting here is the surveillance state, for lack of better words. There are a number of drones here in Portland, Oregon. It shouldn't exist. DARPA shouldn't exist, and it wouldn't if you and I were surrounded by smart people. So today I had a number of highlights. One of which involved me, I was shuffling down a ramp on a skateboard. The floor was pretty wet, and at some point I slipped and fell backwards, smashed in the ground. Not this cup, different cup. Shot into the air. I lost a little bit of coffee. Quite a few people were concerned with my well-being. It hit a pane of glass, which was a wall of glass, mind you. So I popped back up, collected the cup, eventually realized the lid had fallen off, and shuffled into a store. And then all of the employees decided to check on me too because they thought I might be dead. I apologized for making a loud noise, and a customer popped up and he told me, hey, what's going on? He was hoping I was doing all right too. So he and I joked about it quite a bit. And finally he told me, yeah, dude, you nearly scared the life out of this little Asian woman. I guess she popped right up and, her top shot right off too. Good times.
Get a load of this. It's not only Friday the 13th. It's somebody's birthday. If you'd be so kind. Help Mr. Parker afford a 45 on his 45th.